Hey everybody, it is Calxiyn and Hunter here, and today on Calxiyn's Royal Court, we are going to be talking about the RWBY Ice Queendom project. And I feel like this is super important because after our reaction yesterday, a lot of people were like, I have no idea what this is or what's going on. And so let's just go through some things that we learned at the panel, and then I'm also going to talk about some theories about where I think that this is going. So first of all, this is a Japanese animation that is coming out in 2022. They said sometime around the summer, but we don't know exactly when yet. It is animated by Studio Shaft, and a bunch of people are working on it that have worked on like Madoka Magica and like Black Rock Shooter, I believe, and like very big anime. People that have worked on like famous genre-shaking anime.
When I learned that the writer for Madoka Magica was working on this, I was both incredibly excited and terrified because that show will wreck you
even if those words like Madoka Magica don't mean anything to you, like just think about, I guess, famous like Western animation and then times that by like
I think it's fairly genre-defining.
The staff list is stacked. It has like famous anime industry people working on it. And so that has led a lot of people to like freak the fuck out because it's gonna be very, very exciting. However, a lot of people are confused on the aspect of like, but what is this? Is this an AU? Is this like a remaster? Like, what is going on here? And I think that that can be explained through the characters. We're starting in the Beacon arc, right? But I would like to, I guess, present a theory to you guys, because I do have a theory on what is going down and what all of this is going to be. Because what would be the purpose of these alternative outfits if they're not going to be used, right? And the title of Ice Queendom in the first place. So here's what I think is happening. This is my headcanon, and like this is not a fact, but this is a theory about where the project is going. So the facts about the project are that it's coming out, we've seen clips of it, and it's starting in like reanimating the Beacon arc. But Aaron Wynn did tweet that there's gonna be new characters, a new story, and like new like setting or areas, right? And so that gives the implication that it is not just a remaster, right? So I think it's kind of confirmed that this is not just a remaster or
But is it like, is it just adding more detail? Or is it
let's talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Here's what I think is happening. We know that the song that they sung last night is called Awake. Right? And so we don't know the lyrics for that because they were in Japanese. I don't think people were able to like transcribe them you know, quickly enough. But here's basically what I'm thinking. Like, this seems very Weiss-centric. The first photos that we got...
It's called Queendom of Ice,
exactly, right? And so the photos that we got were of Weiss, like when this project was
dressed as a general with a bunch of robots behind her.
Exactly, right? And so I'll show you guys. This is the Weiss outfit, right? And like, yes, she's beautiful. We know, we saw this yesterday. But here's basically what I'm thinking. The trailer has a big focus on like RWBY getting to be the leader, right? That's the very first scene that we see. RWBY is announced to be the leader of Team RWBY, and Weiss is mad about it, which happened in the show. However, I feel like that what could possibly be happening here is that this is like an Alice in Wonderland sort of situation where Weiss is just like, well, I wish I was in charge. I wish I was in charge of the entire world. What would that be like? And this is basically, I'm not gonna say like, oh, it was all a dream, but like, I think that it's gonna be something like that where it's not necessarily an actual alternative
a young
timeline.
Girl wishing for something and it turning out terribly is pretty Madoka Magica, so I feel like it would be on brand.
And so I don't know if it's going to be an alternative timeline per se, but I think it could kind of be an Alice in Wonderland situation where like Alice wakes up from the dream, but there's some implications that it may have actually happened. Do you know if you've seen like the Disney movie, right? Like it's sort of like it's up to your own interpretation whether she fell into Wonderland or not. But because it's called Awake, and because we see this scene with the two Weisses, I'm
please don't have it be just a dream.
What if this is like Weiss's imagination or like a world that she has created where she is in charge, basically?
Yeah.
And that would explain some things, right? Because people were saying that Blake is very
different,
furry.
Yes, look at her.
If this is Weiss's imagination, it would make sense that she depicts Blake as very like beast-like because she's still racist.
Yes.
So this would kind of make sense that her interpretation of Blake is like she pretended to be human, but she's actually a faunus, and that how do you say that? Like that dichotomy or
is displayed in her
exactly, right? So if this is Weiss's imagination or a world from her own mind, it would make a lot of sense for Blake to have more animalistic traits because of the things that we know about Weiss.
New outfit so much.
I know, Hunter. I know you do, but right, like we have to talk about like how these outfits are going to.
If you've ever read like a college AU for RWBY, she dresses like that.
Here's what I think about this, right? Yeah. It's like RWBY's just a little kid, right? She's not like, she's not a huntress, right? And so that is what Weiss's imagination has put on display.
She dressed her up like Ruby's the best drug dealer on campus.
Oh my god. And so I think that's basically
she's a general, she's in charge.
Ruby is out of the picture in this kingdom. She's just a kid who goes snowboarding.
She has a snowboard,
right? Yeah.
Which is and I also she wants to be in control, so she dresses as a general.
Exactly, right? And so that's why I'm leaning towards this is a world of Weiss's creation, basically. Yeah, exactly. Right?
I don't know what you get from that other than she looks amazing. Yeah. It's this is just a I think
with Yang, you have this Daredevil goggles type thing, and so it's she sees Blake as for only her faunus trait. She sees Ruby as a little kid, and she sees Yang as reckless. You could say maybe that's what you could get from that.
The goggles is maybe the speed demon.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll see her more on her
right. And so it's a little unclear, but again, this could be Weiss's imagination. Now, I think that the same is kind of with Jean, because people were saying, "Wow, Jean's the exact same, but he has the winter stuff." But I feel like that may be a manifestation again of Weiss's imagination because
Jean, a little piss baby who's gonna freeze in the cold.
Any different than Weiss sees him. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'm not saying that Jean has no depth or anything, but if Weiss has a very uncharitable interpretation of Blake, Jean basically wears everything on his sleeve, right? So how she sees Jean is no different in her head because she already knows what Jean is.
I just like that it's the first picture is Mom, I'm gonna go outside, and the second photo is no, it's chilly outside, wear a hat.
But do you guys understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
and so it would actually make sense.
It does make sense.
If this is Weiss's imagination, why Jean basically hasn't had any changes because she sees Jean the same way. And maybe the same can be said, Nora is loud and annoying, she's a little kid, so she's with a little kid Ruby, if that
I also
want
to point out that they're all dressed for winter.
Yeah,
and Team Juniper is.
Remnant has frozen over and Weiss is in charge,
she's wearing ear muffs and everyone looks like they're dressed for the cold.
And so I think in Weiss's story, Nora, Jean, Ren, and Ruby are just peasants in her kingdom.
Exactly.
And this is how the peasants dress in a way. Let's talk about Pyrrha, because I think there's something really interesting here that we should point out.
She's dressed like
Weiss.
Oh my god, she's dressed just like Weiss.
Exactly. And think about how she sees Pyrrha, right? Pyrrha's a celebrity. Pyrrha's rich. You know what I mean? When she first meets Pyrrha, she wants Pyrrha to be on her side.
And so she's imagining her as a version of herself.
Exactly, right? So I think that may be what we're getting here, right? She sees Pyrrha on a pedestal, right? Pyrrha doesn't want to be put on a pedestal, but she puts her on the pedestal, the same pedestal that her father kind of makes her do in volume 4 at the party and stuff. So what if that's why she's dressed the same way Weiss was? Because she is imagining Pyrrha to be how Weiss is.
I'm sorry, right? But Madoka Magica was also a little fruity. Could this be
what? Weiss X Pyrrha stuff? Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe? Is this and you will be my queen and you will dress like this?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. I mean, she is dressed she has parts of her main outfit, but she is dressed very much like Weiss.
That Bodis, right? I don't know what you call it, the Bodis.
And so maybe it's this sort of thing where it's this cycle where maybe Weiss is treating people how her father was treating her, and that's
or it's the Madoka Magica movie where everyone, spoiler alert, is locked into this imaginary world.
Basically, that's what I'm basically saying, right? And so again, Ren does not look like that. Ren does not look that
chilly
different.
Outside.
But again, if it's this idea of fuck Team Juniper except for Pyrrha, that would kind of make sense. Pyrrha is elevated status, whereas everyone else is just living in this Weiss kingdom.
Daddy.
The only one that doesn't have an alternative design is Ozpin.
Which wonder if would that imply that maybe Ozpin did this and not Sailor?
I don't know how Ozpin. Oh my my god.
What?
I just thought of something. Do you guys remember? We made this theory that Ozpin made a world in the fairy tale book, and those fairy tales were real. We made that oh my god, a couple weeks ago or months ago. We basically made this theory that the island that they fell in volume 9 was a world of Ozpin's own penmanship and creation, like Epic Mickey. How Jensen has the book, I know. How Jensen has the book and he basically paints this world and Mickey fucks up the world and goes into the world. So what if Ozpin trying to teach Weiss a lesson is responsible for all this, and that's why this is airing alongside volume 9? Because if my theory from before was correct, they are going to introduce this idea that this is something that Ozpin could do, possibly. And, not in a sense that this is connected to Volume 9 in any way, right? I'm not trying to say that this is, somehow connected to the main show, but I'm just saying, if this is something that Ozpin could do in the main show, right, he could also do it outside of the main show. And so what if he created this world for her to wonderland into? That's a pretty good theory, I would say. I think that was pretty good because it fits with the theory that we had before about where is the crown? Ozpin said he hid it secretly. The crown is in the fairy tale book. No other relics are in the fairy tale book. That was our whole idea. So Ozpin made another world, hid the crown in that world, and that's where it is.
And when you think about Oz, all of these characters are very the Wizard of Oz inspired. Dorothy knocked herself on the head and went to this new world.
Right?
What
and
if
so maybe that's the illusion.
Weiss
is
entering
Dorothy.
Oz,
but
kinda.
it's Weiss is Dorothy, but she's the Wicked Witch. You know what I mean? She is.
If Dorothy became a dictator.
Yeah, basically.
If Dorothy was the wizard in Wicked.
Yeah.
And this is what that is. If that makes sense to us and nobody else.
That's very interesting.
Also, can we talk about how because I remember back in the day there was a lot of discussions of oh, Ozpin's hot. No, Ozpin's an old man. This Ozpin's daddy.
Yeah, he is. They definitely did that.
He's they purposely made this man
yeah.
He's a GQ model. I'm sorry.
But guys, I think that's a pretty solid theory on what the show is about. I just blew my own mind. I totally forgot that we made that. It's pretty good.
I feel this could be we could be rounding up for another predicted them falling through the world or predicted.
Yeah, it's just a different world now.
Jin,
right?
this could be one of our classics.
I know, and so I think that this is pretty good. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you guys for attending Calxiyn's Royal Court today. I hope that you had fun, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.